need to have the Torah mitzvahs to cause the aliyah in the neshama, where it's actually what happens is that through the aliyah that takes place in the neshamas, the way they're in biyah, it causes an aliyah as well in the neshama, the way it is higher than biyah as well, the way it is even in the level of tahori, the level beyond b'riyah, the way it's in the level of atzilus and higher. So the Rebbe and that aliyah is even higher than any type of aliyah or any type of elevated state that they were before the Yerida. So now he's going to explain in Ois Gimel the way it works in regards to the avoid of Torah mitzvahs and so on. The Yuvan this will be understood al Peter Sarab Magid al Posik. This will be understood according to what the Mizrach Magid teaches on the Posik. So he introduces another idea of what is Neir. Beforehand we were talking about Neiros, is talking about the Neshamas, Kinei Hashem Nishmasadam. So he introduces another inyan in Neir. The Neiros in my mitzvahs. Neiros we find is going on the mitzvahs. Like it says Kinei mitzvah, that the mitzvah is a candle. The Kamaisha Neir Shoyra by just like the candle. The light rests in it, resides in it. So to the mitzvah, the inner level of its light is love and awe of Hashem. Meaning the inner level, which is, there's the candle, which is the keli, and there is the light, the fire, which is the inner meaning of the candle, like the purpose of the candle. So there's the external, which is the mitzvah itself, that's the neir. Then you have the oir, the fire, that is the Ava V'yir. So what does this mean in our case? When we've identified the mitzvah and the Ava V'yir as being the candle and the fire, what does it mean? That you will raise up the neiros, the pirish, es, hugam im. Ba'aloischa es ha-neiros can also mean with the neiros, when you rise up with the candles. Who? It means as follows: Tales atzmecha im ha-mitzvahs. Not that you will kindle the mitzvahs, but you will rise up along with the mitzvahs. That's the S, to tell you with the mitzvahs you will rise up. And where do you rise to? Va'aliyah hi al mul pnei ha-menorah la pnimiyas. Where are you going up to? What level are you rising up to? Towards the face of the menorah, the inner level. So we said that the inner level is Ava V'yira. Let's see if that's all that the inner level entails. So he says, Valderach Mashanamar, similar to what it says, Vaidaber Elikim is called Vormeila Lemer Anoichi. That Elikim spoke all these matters to say Anoichim. Shakavona the Chol HaMitzvahs, Kol Hadvarim Ha'eli Leimer. That the intention, the purpose of all the mitzvahs, that's Kol Hadvarim Ha'elam, is to have the Leimer. What does it mean, Leimer? Sha'odam Yachshe V'yoymar Anoichi V'lo Yelecha. A person should think and say Anoichi and Lo Yelecha. So he says the Rosh Tevis of Anoichi and V'lo is Hainu Aleph Vav Yud. Rosh Tevis Anoichi V'lo V'gam Rosh Tevis Ahava V'yira. All the mitzvahs' purpose is to bring to Anoichi V'lo meaning Ahava V'yira. That's the Rosh Tevis. What's the connection? Anoich v'lo yilcha and ava yira. They says the anoichi hu ava v'lo yilcha yira. And we know from Tanya that anoichi Hashem Elokecha is the koilel in it. I'm sorry, it's other places in Chassidus. I don't remember if it's in Tanya. The anoichi is koilel in it all the mitzvahs asay, and lo yilcha elokim acherim, the Isra of Avodah Zarah, is koilin it all mitzvahs loisese. What we do know from Tanya is that ahava is the shoydish of all mitzvahs asay, and yira is the shoydish and yisoid for all mitzvahs loisa. We have this right away at the beginning of Tanya. Therefore, anoichi and lo yirlacha are the same Rosh Tevis as Ava v'Yira because they represent the same thing. And what does it say afterwards? All the mitzvahs is to reach Leimar anoichi v'lo yirlacha, to reach Ava v'Yira. And then it says afterwards, lo yirlacha, the continuation of it, lo yirlacha elakim acherim al ponai, upon my ponai. Perush pnimius, it means the inner level. Sha pnimius hu HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that the inner level is Hashem. So this is what it's saying, similar to what we said, Baha'aloischa Saneris, V'zeu el mul pnei ha-menorah. That's also what we said, that you're rising up with the neiros, you're rising up with the mitzvahs, el mul pnei ha-menorah. You want to go to the pnimius. Ya'iru shivas ha-neiros, the 7 candles will shine him shivas yimei binyan. They're the 7 days of the building of the world, those 7 days of creation, which is, as Chassidus explains, that the 7 days of creation corresponds to the 7 midas, Ava, V'Yira, V'Tiferes, V'Cholu, love and awe and glory and beauty, etc., etc. So, in general, it seems to be the Mezritcher Maggid is saying that the El Mul Pnei HaMenorah and Al Ponai, this is all the same level that you are getting from the mitzvahs to the inner part of the mitzvahs, which is Av V'Yira, the Al Ponai, the level of the Eibishter himself. But the Rebbe is really going to divide it into a few levels now. Line 26, last paragraph on the page. Seemingly, the intention and meaning of what the Mezritcher Maggid is saying over here, the Ba'apnimis, the mitzvahs, Shnei Inyonim. When we talk about the inner level of the mitzvahs, Ya'iru el mul pnei ha-menorah, so we're talking about the pnimius. There are 2 aspects. One thing is, Shaydei kiyum ha-mitzvahs, ha-neir, ha-kli, boim la'av v'yira ha'or. There is the fulfillment of the mitzvah, the external body of the mitzvah, which is likened to the candle, the vessel that contains the oil and the wick and so on. That leads us to love and awe, which is the fire, just like in a simple sense. How do you have the fire and the light of the candle? You have it because you have the vessel, the fuel, etc., the wick, etc., etc. That's how you have the fire. The same thing, the fulfillment of mitzvahs brings you to the light, the fire, the Ava v'Yira. And that's why the Zeh Shanoichi v'lo yeh. Klolus kol mitzvahs, that's what it means, Anoichi and lo yeh, which, like we said, like I mentioned before, includes all the mitzvahs in it. He does bring, it is Tanya, he brings in the footnote, Tanya Perek Chof, that Anoichi is the shoyrish of kol mitzvahs asay, and lo yilcha is the shoyrish of all the mitzvahs loisa. Rosh Tevis, Aleph Vav Yud, Ava v'Yira. That's why Anoichi lo yilcha is Rosh Tevis of Ava v'Yira, because the mitzvahs are bringing love and awe. So the Pnimius, when we're talking about this level of Pnimius, the first level of Pnimius, as opposed to the next level that he's soon going to introduce, it's like the light of a candle, that the light and the candle are comparable one to another. They're be'erech, according to the candle, how much fuel, how big it contains, etc., etc. That's the type of fire, that's the light that comes out. The next step is, there's a further level of Pnimius. Through that comes about an even higher level of Pnimius, al ponai, upon, higher than the Pnimius that we spoke about before. There's the Pnimius, how Ava v'Yira, how Anoichi v'lo yilacha is the pnimius, the love and awe is the pnimius of kol advarim ha'ela of all the mitzvahs. And then there's al panai, higher than that, top of page test, amitis apnimius, the true level of pnimius, shuhu HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That is pshat in Daseres HaDibros. Now the same thing, we're going to apply it now concerning the Baha'alotcha Saneris, not just when we're talking about mitzvahs as being neiros, but going back in the original meaning of neiros, referring to neshamas, we also have a higher level of pnimis. Val pize yuven gama kesher d'shnei and yon of Baha'alotcha Saneris. La pirush the neiros heman neshamas. Now we will understand the connection of the two things that we're saying. One thing is the idea that Baha'alotcha Saneris is talking about the mitzvahs. And another meaning is what we learned earlier, that the neiros are the neshamas, meaning what is the Baha'alotcha? Gilui teva harotzi v'aliyah b'neshamas debri yitzira v'asiyah. It's revealing the nature of the rushing upwards and the ascent and the neshamas of Biyah that we said earlier. The natural state of the neshama is like a candle, like a fire that wants to go upwards. Except that becomes concealed when it comes down into B'riya Yitzira Asiyah. And the job of Baha'alotcha Saneris is to reveal that essential nature of the neshamas. But by revealing it, we don't just return to the first stage the way it was, but we go even higher. Line 5. Through revealing the teva harotzi, that's in the neshamas, that was concealed the way they are in Bri Yitzir Asiyah, so now it becomes an ascent in them even higher than the level of Tahoirahi when they were in Atzilus, before they ascended to Bri Yitzir Asiyah, where they had the natural fire, that fire wants to go upwards. How come? So he says, the fact that the neshama is awakened and inspired in a drawing upwards. And this drawing upwards is it's considered the great love that's beyond reason and understanding. It's a much higher level than the ordinary or intellectual type of ava. Hagam sha'aliyah mulpnei hamenoira. The bechinas pnimius, though this is towards the face of the menorah, the inner level, which the inner level is initially the level that we were speaking about in the neshama, the way it's not Atzilus. But that's not where it stops. That's the first step. It first goes up to the level of pnei hamenoira, the pnimius, which is Atzilus. Hidarga Rishoina the Pnimius, it's the first level of the inner level. Dugmas Av v'yirash nimshach ma'idei mitzvahs, similar to the love and awe of Hashem that come out through the mitzvahs. That's the first stage of the Pnimius, like we said, that through Vaydaber Elokim es kol advarim ha'elu, when you have all these things of mitzvahs, you have anoichi v'lo yilacha, you have the Av v'yira. That's but first stage 1 of the Pnimius. But that's not where it stops. Through this, it rises up even higher than it was in Atzilus. The second level of Pnimius, which is Alponai, which is the Pnimius of Hashem, that's how high it goes up, beyond even the way it is the level of neshama, the neshama, the way it's tahoirahi, the way it's beyond, like we said, having a purpose, but it's one with the Eibishter himself. So you can explain these different levels of the neshama now in Ois Dalet, line 15. Who the idea behind this is that neshama gam k'moish yilamaylo the neshama, even the way it is above. Hidugmas haben k'moish nimshach moich ha'av. It's similar to the sun, the way it comes down from the brain of the Father, meaning after it came down, after it was revealed, after it was born. That's the neshama, the way it's above, before it comes into this world. It still came out of the Father already. But when we deal with the very essence of the neshama, the way it's rooted in Hashem's essence, the way it's similar to the sun, the way it's still part of the brain of the Father before it came down, it's not at all within the category of something that could be drawn down and something that could be revealed. Through the avoid of the neshama and its descent down here below, that we said that when it descends down here, it goes all the way down into Biyah, where the ascent and the rushing to Hashem and the love for Hashem is concealed, and we need to reveal it. So he's saying this rushing and desire for Hashem is shehu dugmas teva hagaguim de bein alaviv. It's similar to the nature of a child, a son missing his father, yearning for his father. And that yearning that occurs specifically by being far away, when is it the gaguim of a ben for a father? When the son is far from the father. Similar to the neshama descending all the way down into Biyah. So when you have the neshama descend so low into Bri Yitzir Asiyam, so Aidezem is galus etzem anashama k'moishu mishreshes ba'atzmus. Through that becomes revealed the essence of the neshama, the way it's rooted in Hashem's essence. So, and that level is higher than the level, the way it's Tahiri, the way it's Atzilus, because the way it's in Atzilus, the way it's Tahiri, that's already Nimshach from the Etzem. Only when it comes down here into Biyah does it tap into that essential state, that level of the Neshama, the way it's part of Hashem, just like the Ben is part of the Mo'achav before it even came out. In comparison to the level of the neshama, that's similar to the son that came from the father's brain. In other words, the level that's like in the level of Atzilus, the level of Tahiri, the descent to the worlds of Biyah. How much more so the descent to this physical world. Ma'alemes umasteres alze. This conceals and hides the whole idea of this neshama, the way it comes out of the mo'achav. As it's known, sharak neshamas ta'atzilus nekrois b'shem bonim. The neshamas of Atzilus are known by the term bonim. Why? Because when it comes down into Biyah, especially comes down into the physical world, that association of a ben to its father becomes concealed, is not seen. So it was like a ben that came out of the father, Atzilus, it came down to Biyah, it lost that relationship in the externals. But when, even though it descended down here below, it does attain and reveal the ben part, that's the baha'alotch, the elevation of the neshama, top of page Yud. All of a sudden, even though it's missing the ben part, because that is something it lost in coming down to Biyah, through the baha'alotch process, through the revealing, through kindling the candle, you're revealing this desire and yearning to go up to its father like a son that yearns and desires and misses his father. How is that possible? Despite the fact that it's in Biyah, why the Gilui Etzam Anashama Kimoshi B'Moach Ha'av Terem Shenimshach. It's only through revealing the essence of the neshama, the way it's in the father's brain before it came down. Because just revealing the level of Atzilus, the level of the neshama, the way it already became a ben, is not going to be sufficient, because that is only an Atzilus level. When you come into Biyah, you left that level. What can assure that despite leaving the Atzilus level and coming down into the Biyah level, it should still evoke and reveal this ben part? So he says in line 4, in comparison to this level, the level of the Etzem and Neshama K'moshu Mushreshes Ba'atzmos, the way it's rooted in Hashem's very essence, Atzilus Ubri Yitzira Vasiyah B'Shav. Since Atzilus and Bri Yitzira Asiyah are the same, are equal, therefore it's possible for even a neshama that's in Biyah that externally seem to lose its ben properties, its son properties, should all of a sudden be awakened, and that should be evoked. So now he's going to bring in what we have in this week's Haftorah, Al Pizeh Yesh Levaya, line 7. According to this, we can explain Masha Kosav, L'chut Torah, where it says in L'chut Torah al Pasuk. It says in our Haftorah this week, Ra'isi v'hine menorah zav kula, behold, I've seen a entirely golden menorah. Zed var Hashem el Zerubbabel. This is the word of Hashem to Zerubbabel. Zerubbabel was the leader of the Yidden at that time when he was receiving this nevuah. Shaykh is the menorah ledvar Hashem el Zerubbabel. What's the connection between menorah? He saw this golden menorah and the word of Hashem to the Zerubbabel. The dvar Hashem hu makor neshamas Yisrael. The word of Hashem is the source of the souls of Yidden. We know Malchus is the level of Dibur. B'dvar Hashem Shanaim Nasu, that's our Amoris comes from Malchus. Malchus is also the source of all Neshamas Yisrael. So Dvar Havaya is the Moker of Neshamas Yisrael. Masha Nemar Dvar Havaya el Zerubbabel, who when it says the word of Hashem to Zerubbabel, Ki Yisrael Oz, Bisman Golus Bavel, because the Yidden then, during the exile of Bavel, when this nevuah was said, Nikru b'shem Zerubbabel. They're called Zerubbabel. Why? Al Shem uzrati ali ba'aretz, because it says that when the Yidden are in Golus, I planted them in the ground. Zerubbabel maloshen Zerubbabel. The word Zerubbabel, the name Zerubbabel, indicates that it's planted in Bavel. So Dvar Hashem el Zerubbabel. There's the Makir of Neshamas Yisrael to Zerubbabel, to the Yidden, the way they are rooted in Golus. V'zoya shaykh is the menorah zav. In Dvar Havaya Zerubbabel, that's the connection between the golden menorah with the word of Hashem to Zerubbabel. He closed Neshamas Yisrael and the cross menorah, that the general Neshamas of Yidden is called a menorah. So, therefore, it has to do with Dvar Hashem el Zerubbabel. That's what it says in L'chut Torah of our week's parsha. We're going to speak soon about that. The Rebbe is going to explain why does this have to do specifically with Zerubbabel, with the fact that the Yidden are planted in Golus. And the point is going to be to explain that specifically the Yerida is L'tzoyrech Aliyah, that through that becomes revealed the golden menorah, the Neshamas Yisrael, the way they are in their highest level above.